Riled up enough.
Oh, we're live.
All right.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? So Roy and I are here today to talk about a few topics. Two of the topics you guys saw, which is Uber Teen and transparency. I'll get to that in here in a second, but we have about an hour because it's 2:00 here, but at 3:30 we have to be checked in by 3:15. I am hoping my son's cast comes off. It's a big deal. I don't want a new one on there for 3 weeks. I can't take any more. And I see Brandon just said no crackling sounds. Yes, we already tested.
Yeah, we already tested. Come on.
It's all good. There's no crackling.
Yes. Professionalism at its best.
Happy by the way, before we even get started, happy belated birthday, Roy.
My birthday is 2 days from now. So the 20th.
I thought it was June 2nd or June 1st.
No.
Oh, well, then 29th. Happy upcoming birthday. In 2 days, Roy and I will be 102 years old.
Yep, exactly.
That's a lot of wisdom, people.
I don't know about that.
But anyway, thank you, Roy, for coming on. And always enjoy doing these, man. Always enjoy having you on.
They're always fun. Fun.
So before we jump in, though, I wanted to tell you guys, I saw a thing that I think everybody should be aware of, because there's a company that sells on Amazon right now that is being sued big money by Uber, Lyft, and by Amazon, who let them put it up there about rogue rideshare signs. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you go to Etsy and other things like that, I know like Beacon, like Nick, and myself even, I've picked up lights that were Uber lights and whatnot from Etsy because I'm on Uber. I'm an Uber driver. Yeah. So I've just picked up other lights because it helps to identify the cars. But now if it's not Uber or Lyft, they're suing you. So if you have stuff up on Etsy or something, or if you're an artist like that and you do things like that, take that crap down right now, because they're actually going after people creating any kind of unique, even if you are doing it hoping that rideshare drivers are taking it because of all the violence. I just think they're 10 years too late on this. That's it. I mean, they should have.
That just goes back to the whole safety issue. People see just putting these Lyft signs in there and then, trying to hit it like a gypsy cab. Oh, yeah, I'm a Lyft driver, but we can do it off the clock. And yeah, next thing you know, they're.
But they let it go on for tons of time.
Yeah,
I mean, till this week from 2009.
But these companies are so far behind with anything, so it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah,
plus it could be they've been getting a lot of recent cases where they're like, well, they had a Lyft sign, and then they say, well, show us what the Lyft sign looks like, and well, that's not our official sign, or something like that, and then that's where it probably led to it because of issues like that.
The articles I've been reading, it's weird. The reason that led to it, you'd think it would be a driver incident, but it seems to be that incident that happened this weekend in, I think it was San Antonio, where
where she jumped out the whip. Yeah.
No, where the passenger shot the driver. Yeah, because she thought the driver was taking her to Mexico.
Trying to kidnap her. Yeah,
I mean, to me, I was like, dude, first of all, I get trying to be safe, and you and I have done safety things before, but why would you shoot the driver? I mean, if you get to the Mexican border, they're not going to let you over. You just are like, that guy kidnapped me.
Exactly.
And you're going to have like squads of people coming in to help you. So he ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like that was, again, fly on the wall, but I feel like that was one of those situations where clearly the driver didn't deserve it. He was a true Uber driver and whatnot. But where do you get off carrying a gun and just making a brash decision like, I'm going to shoot him?
Yeah. Well, there was that incident too, Bobby shared with me, where the chick jumped out of the car.
Yeah. Gary and I were talking about that last week, and then there was a one about 2 months ago that Gary thought I was talking about last week, where a chick jumped out on the highway.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are like tucking and rolling. They're like, I'm in danger. Well, you don't jump out at 45 miles an hour. Then you are in danger.
Yeah, you're gonna become part of the cement at that point.
But to anybody, I don't know if anybody does, but even if anybody has ever bought cool, like you want cooler signage for rideshare and whatnot, if you've ever bought it, I would even say go as far as to help that Etsy creator out before they go after Etsy, and email them and tell them, hey guys, they're cracking down on this stuff.
Yeah.
Be careful. I mean, you don't have to tell them to shut their stuff down. Just give them the warning if you've ever bought anything, because these people don't mean harm, but I think it's starting to cause problems, or
Yeah,
just
plus it could be a trademark thing too, using their name without their permission by making a sign that says Uber, Lyft.
yeah,
False,
totally.
I guess you could say false advertising. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Putting these off the wall things on there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess, but I mean, then I just go back to why didn't it matter when all the problems were starting in 2014, 15? Like,
Well, but see, it could be too. The states are cracking down on it. I know the TNC here, you are not allowed to have anything but official stickers
right.
on your car. They don't even like that one light Lyft gave you to put in the center, that like egg oval
Yeah.
shape thing. They didn't even want that in your window. They wanted official stickers. The airport wanted only official stickers. So it could be something where the states are cracking down on them too, because you got all these weird signs. Nobody actually knows what a true Lyft driver is because all these weird signs and stuff. It could be something like that as well.
So before we jump into the Uber Teen thing, one other safety feature I have, and you just kind of hit on it. I wasn't even going to bring it up today, but I'd already thought about this before, maybe even talked about it. But why don't those Lyft official stickers just have a little QR code in the bottom? Like when they send me mine, why doesn't it just, I mean, that costs them nothing. Why doesn't it just have a little QR code? That person could walk up and just scan it. Yep, that's your car.
Yeah, because I think Uber was trying to do something out with the QR code, wasn't it? Where they had you put it in your window or something, and the passenger could scan it or something. If I
Well,
remember
in
correctly.
Europe, you wear a badge
Uh-huh.
or you wear a lanyard, and that lanyard has um, a
Yeah.
QR, or not a QR, but it has a little chip in it that tells the rider, yes, this is your car.
Yeah, it's weird here too, because you would think maybe because the states implement, you have a business license, you have a TNC number, all this, you would think they would issue you a badge. That wouldn't be a bad idea. You get a TNC number, you get a badge with your picture, with your number on it, and maybe, like you said, a QR code so the customer can see it, or you can show the customer what makes this makes me an official Lyft driver. It says
Yeah.
rideshare driver. This is my number through the state. This is my business license number, and all that stuff. It's not something they couldn't implement if they wanted to.
Yeah, and also, let's be honest, as much as many of us don't like cabs, they all keep their thing flipped down with their cab license showing
Yeah,
all
it's
the
all
time.
yeah, it's right there on their dashboard, so it's got their picture, all their info. Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, like, you can, with smartphones these days, you can take a picture if you're feeling sketchy. I mean, that kind of stuff to me makes me feel safer. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if I'm gonna, even if, as a rider, I don't feel in danger often, really ever. But I mean, like, I would feel a lot better if their information's up there, because then I know, like, dude, okay, you're risking your information for this. Like,
yeah. Well, not only that, you would think the state should have some means of knowing who is who. You know what I'm saying? Because I have an old light for Lyft. I have the stickers for Lyft. What's to stop me from going downtown and just slapping it on my car? This way, if the TNC ever wants to go by and actually physically check, here's my badge, blah, blah, blah. They could zap you, be like, okay, you're a legit driver, move along, or whatever the case may be.
Plus, the state would tackle down on the fake ones, and they'd be able to write severe tickets for those who are on the platform who have not updated their credentials.
Yeah. Or they'd
be able to say, okay, that's a $500 ticket. So the state would be making money.
Well, I know the taxi cab authority does do stings out here on those gypsy cab type rideshare drivers.
Yeah.
So that could end you up in jail too. So.
But I'm sure there's Lyft and Uber people in Vegas who are not, who have even been maybe deactivated, who are still out there pulling rides, like you said.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Somebody just canceled on me. Why? You need a ride somewhere? Now I'm out here. I'll hook you up. And somebody's like, yeah, sure. I just need to go back to the hotel. And I'm sure there's even gypsy cabs who aren't doing bad things, who are just like pissed they got deactivated. So they're like, okay, well, I'll still just work it.
Yeah, you got those people out there that'll just do it for, what did they charge you? $50? I'll do it for $20 and I'll take you right down the road.
Yep.
And nobody's going to question that. We get like, oh shit, that's $30 off my ride. I'll just jump in this one. He has the official lights and everything on here. He has everything official. They don't know the difference. And most of the time when they're drunk out here in Vegas, they don't know the difference. They're not even paying attention.
No.
They're looking for a black car
I
to walk.
can't tell the amount of
Yeah.
articles I read that say that a friend like carries somebody out to a car.
Exactly.
You know, like this
Yep.
person got so hammered, I called the Uber for him and I threw him in the back. Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's the evilest thing you could do to a friend.
Yeah, I don't know how many times they'd be like, I'm looking for a black Altima. This is a silver Sentra. I don't know why you would even come to my car. So they're just not there. You know, they're
No.
drunk cost. They
Yeah.
don't know the difference. So they don't even pay attention to that.
No.
You know. So
But we'll get to the transparency thing here in a minute, but I wanted to at least talk about this Uber teen thing, because I know Roy and I have done 3 now safety videos where we talk, because when I first came on to YouTube, I'd been doing the audio podcast for a while, and I think I kind of attracted to Roy's channel because he was, at that time, he was kind of like me. He was hitting up safety all the time. You know, you were talking about a lot of safety stuff and what people are doing wrong. And that's what I was doing on the audio podcast side. So when it came over here, I'm like, this guy's talking about the same stuff as me.
yeah.
So, but I think it's like crucially important. And one thing I've said this, I don't know how you feel, Roy, but I've said this, is that, look, Uber and Lyft make tons of mistakes. They make tons. They try out things in markets. It doesn't work. So they try 5 markets. They just get rid of it, or else they try out something. It's horrible and they decide to launch it everywhere. But nonetheless, Uber has always said, so has Lyft, no unaccompanied minors. With all of the changes they have, that's always been a thing. And I've always been proud of that, because there's always a very dark gray area
Yes.
on how it will be handled. And I want to actually go a step farther before we jump into this, because I talked about this on the audio podcast just yesterday, which was, I actually took the time to call 3 insurance companies here in Denver yesterday, or last week, to make the piece for yesterday. And what I did was I just asked them, look, I'm not looking for a bid, because if you guys have a policy and you have the right rideshare policy, you'll still want to call your agent. I didn't want to call mine. I just wanted to call 3 randoms. And normally they need some information, social, all that, to pull up a rate for you. But I said, I don't need a rate. I just want a question answered. So 3 insurance companies, 2, one of them had never had an incident with any of their rideshare drivers, but they offer a policy. So I'm going to take him out of the mix because he didn't really have a lot to say. So out of the other 2, what they told me was that, well, I said, how do you feel about Uber Teen and your drivers doing this if they're carrying the correct insurance through you? And they said, both of the other people said, I have no clue what Uber Teen is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I explained it. I said, listen, you have your driver covered. There's phases 0, 1, 2, and 3. And 3 is being the most important phase. That's when you are picking up the passenger, they're getting into your car and you're taking them to the destination. That is phase 3. And what both of the 2 insurance agents who have had run-ins with Uber insurance said to me was that, well, yeah, but in phase 3, Uber has it covered. And I said, to one of the people, I said, you know, have you ever had a insurance run-in with Uber? And they said, well, we've had 2 drivers who weren't at fault, and Uber took care of both those. So yeah, no harm, no foul. So again, not a lot of input. But from that third one, here was the input that I do have, is that he has had 5 rideshare incidents, 2 of which these are all phase 3 incidents too, with the passenger in the car. 2 of the 5, Uber said, nope, it didn't meet our criteria. We're not going to be paying that. And so he ended up paying partial, or like if it was an accident, I didn't get into, he couldn't give them all either, but if they got in an accident, he was covering the driver as much as he could, but he couldn't do the whole thing. And just weird scenario. But I mean, if you do 2 out of 5, that's 40%. That means 60% are being covered by Uber telling you that they got you covered in phase 3. How many times do you think Uber Teen's going to be covered in phase 3?
Well, as long as it's the actual teen ride, like I would assume they're going to have specific people only that can do it. I can't see them letting every Uber driver do Uber Teen. That to me, because I would assume you're going to have to go through stricter background checks, stricter, all that stricter background check. Your driving record's going to have to be double checked. I would assume they would do that. They probably won't. You know how they are. They'll just throw everybody on there. But as far as the insurance goes, as long as they're a passenger in the ride in the car, it shouldn't matter whether it's a teen or an adult. The only thing it's going to, I see, open up an issue is on Uber's part when it comes to insuring, because I'm sure there's been many incidences where a teen has been in an accident, an unaccompanied teen in an Uber, and at that point it was against their terms of service, so they didn't have to cover you.
And
So
they
now,
didn't. Yeah.
if they allow the unaccompanied minors, now it opens them up to more insurance claims on Uber's behalf. So I think that doesn't make sense to me that you would put yourself at extra risk by adding the teen element to it, because now you just opened yourself up for more lawsuits. Whereas before, Uber could just say, "Hey, you broke terms of service. It's all on you." You know what I'm saying? And as far as your own insurance, car insurance, they really don't care because it's a passenger in your car, so they're going to have to cover it regardless because it's a passenger in your car. Whereas Uber can just say, "Nope, you broke our terms of service. No unaccompanied minors. We don't cover anything."
Yeah.
So.
And to be honest, that is what it comes down to, is that Uber has 100 checkpoint lists saying it's kind of like their way to get out of paying.
Yeah, exactly.
Did any of these happen? Because if they did, we're not paying.
Yeah, exactly. They'll do anything. Oh, you have one brake pad smaller than the others. Yeah, that we're not covering you.
Right.
So yeah, they'll do anything.
The accident was your fault and the child died, they're not going to cover you. Or if the child goes home and says sexual assault to their parents, they're not going to cover you.
Yeah, exactly.
And good luck with that one, by the way, guys, because that actually happens already, where people, when they weren't supposed to be taking teens and they did, and the teen accuses them. That's I hate to say this, you guys, but that's it. That's your life. You will be paying that off for life.
Yeah.
And even then, you still won't pay it off, but you'll be paying that family for the rest of your life.
Well, they could sue you civilly, I guess, but that would be fall under a criminal thing at that point. Yeah. I don't see how, they could sue Uber to try to sue Uber because they put a criminal behind, but they always just, hey, our background check, he passed it. And we all know when it comes to those kind of situations, that can happen at any time, anywhere. Somebody could just flip out and do something nasty to a passenger, and they could have had 25,000 rides under their belt prior to doing it. So that's one of those really hard things, I think, that you can't really predict that kind of stuff. No. You know what I'm saying? You can't predict it. So.
But you can go off the stats a little bit. And I've looked, 23 startups have started up in this country in the past, 7-8 years, of companies that want to transport children only. Only one is still around, Hop, Skip, Drive. That's it. Yeah. That one's still around, but all the rest went under, and all of the rest had massive databases of customers. They were doing great, but what happened was, weeks in or whatever, the insurance company came back to him and said, "Wait a minute, you're gonna have to pay 3 times as much."
Yeah,
this isn't. We can't.
Yeah, because that's a high risk. That's a high risk endeavor you're doing right there. Because like I said, once that teen is, done something nasty to that teen, yeah, your company is on the line for any damages, emotional, physical, anything. So yeah, that's a huge liability when you do that.
And every one of the other ones, 22 businesses all went out of business as soon as the insurance rates went up that much. They're like, we can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's, I don't know how Hop, Skip, Jump probably has a lot more money than the others, but nonetheless, if you go try and start this kind of company, it's not going to work, and you're going to get shut down because of insurance.
That seems kind of strange to me in the first place, that you want to do kids only in the first place. That's weird to me in the first place. If you're gonna do a rideshare company of any kind, it should be all passengers, not just specifically on teens. That kind of weirds me out, bro. Like it almost makes you wonder, like, what's up with the guy who's starting this? Is he kind of already on that weird, side or something where he just wants to do kids only? That's weird to me. So.
Like all free candy vans with like a video camera.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird to me. It's like, come in I got candy. You want to come in my van? Yeah, I don't. That's kind of weird to me. That's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
I can see offering it as an extra option, like you could have your kid in there, but even then, it's still, I want kids only. I don't know about that.
Yeah, and the way I was reading this Uber teen thing too, it's like the parents have to give the consent. So maybe that's where Uber gets off, because they're like, "Oh, you consented to have your kid screwed over. I don't care." It's like maybe, But at the same time, it's like Uber has like put out all these safety measures that they call safety measures. Like, hey, if you'll be able to monitor your kid's ride. Okay, well, what if the person takes the phone and throws it out at a movie theater?
Yeah.
You're going to think your kid's at the damn movie theater.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
not only that, the reason I think Uber is doing it is because, like you just said, every other company is not doing it except one. So it's an untapped market. And we know Uber has endless amounts of money. So, they don't even care about their adult passengers at the end of the day. So what makes you think they're going to worry about teens? It's all about money to them. And if they see a market, just all these other companies went out of business, well, they have the capital to do it. They see Hop, Skip, Jump gets away with it, and they're doing okay. Why not tap into that market? I'm surprised they haven't done it sooner, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's because, look, if you look at, there was a stat that came out that I think Uber just drooled over, which was that only 25% of 16-year-olds have driver's licenses these days. That's down from like 54% before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think what Uber did is said, hey, man, kids aren't getting their license anymore. We should lure them in early and get them hooked on
Exactly. And a lot of people don't want to drive anymore because it's just easier to grab a Lyft. It's like, why pay all the car insurance? Why make a $500 car payment when I could just, if I could take Lyfts or Ubers all month long for $300, why would I want to pay a $500 car payment, $200 car insurance? So some people, and they just rather not deal with that. They just say, fuck, I'll just call it Uber.
Yeah. But the problem is don't stick your 13-year-old in it.
Yeah, that's kind of a mixed thing. I wouldn't do it myself if it was my kids because, like I said, I already know the risk. Anything can happen. I don't know that fucking driver
at all.
So you have adults that are like freaked out when they get in your car, and it's like, so I could imagine a kid. Kids don't comprehend shit until it's too late. Let's be honest with you. As an adult, if you see something shady with your driver, you can comprehend that a lot faster than a kid is. Kid's going to be on his phone in the back seat, not paying attention. So yeah, there's a lot of variables that could add up to a disaster when it comes to that.
Plus a 13, 14, like my son is a little older, so he would tell somebody to screw off or whatever, but a 13, 14, 15-year-old is probably going to be very responsive to somebody who's driving, even if they don't know them, saying, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
They're just going to do whatever they're told.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, I mean, whereas we would be like, you shut up, man.
You're gonna get stopped. Yeah, you're gonna get stopped. Yeah, you're gonna get a fist upside the back of the head. Right.
So I think it also goes to what you were saying about like these with the kid transportations, like what kind of drivers will be doing these?
Yeah.
I mean, I already looked, you're not going to get paid much more.
Yeah.
It's like,
and what's the
extra fee or something.
And what's the extra precaution you're taking because we all know all TNCs, depending on state to state or whatever, they all have different regulations as far as what you can do to drive. Like you can be a bank robber and drive for Lyft. You could have murdered somebody and probably still be able to drive for Lyft in some states. So where's the extra precautions you're taking with these drivers that you have? And it's weird, man. It doesn't matter how big of a background check you do, how you can fingerprint them, you can run them to the FBI, Quantico, whatever you want to do. Still not going to change that. There's going to be a situation where it's going to happen regardless. So.
In my Uber app, just so you know, Uber Teen is in there now. And it's just like Uber Pet. It's just a toggle switch.
Oh, wow.
No, I don't want these. Sure, I'll take kids. That's all it is. I mean,
yeah. See that to me is from what I hear, Hop, Skip, Jump does go through extra hoops with vetting their drivers. So yeah, just to let anybody. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
And a lot of those companies that failed that were doing kids were also all of their drivers were W-2.
Yeah.
So there was nothing wrong with the drivers. They actually probably went through very hardcore background checks to get a W-2 position, but it just nothing fixes it. It just doesn't.
You're just as far as I can see, Uber's just opening up to huge liability and more bad press, in my opinion, with that. So.
So with that said, you guys, we're going to move into transparency here, but I just wanted to say, if I really hope all of you, I personally hope all of you don't do this, but if you choose to, I mean, really, 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 please call your insurance. Even if you never have to this day, call them, because maybe that will be a wake up call for you when they're like, we're not going to cover you for nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
And not to mention, any driver that decides to do this, that one false accusation can cost you your life,
yeah,
because the police aren't going to take it lightly. They're going to assume, hey, you raped the kid, or you molested a kid. You're going to be sitting in jail. You're going to have that stigma that you're some kind of predator.
yeah.
Yeah, dude, no, that's a no, 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 in my opinion. So that's not something they're going to play with. They're not going to play with
Look,
that.
no,
They don't play.
and
They don't even play.
nobody wants to go to jail, but you definitely don't
Yeah,
want to go to jail under those terms.
yeah. You don't want to be locked up next to Joe Murderer with some kitty stuff on your paper, whether you did it or not.
Yeah,
You don't want that stigma, because that's
yeah.
going to stick on your record. And oh yeah, you don't want that. That's
No,
not something.
no. So yeah, I see. I'm gonna say hi to the chat real quick because it looks like
Okay.
they're, as always, they're having their own discussion. But hey, Daphne, and I don't know if you're here. I saw that you posted that a while ago, and Xander, I see you're back with your popcorn and whatnot. Um, what's up, Wesley? Brandon says that Roy can't speak on the gig apps. Yes, he can.
Yeah.
He understands this. Look at, you don't have to do DoorDash every day to understand what's going on.
Exactly.
It's look,
Yeah.
you can open up a newspaper and see all the people getting killed, all the
Yeah.
rates dropping, and then Roy's and all this stuff. He knows what we're being
Yeah.
paid. He knows what's going
Yeah.
on.
You got to do 25,000 deliveries a year to be able to talk about hitting accept and decline. Like, come on, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, some of this is just, I mean, we should be able to just
Common
common sense. Exactly. What's up, Daryl? What's up, Bobby Gator? And what's up, Brandon? I think I just pointed out your thing, but I didn't say hi. What's up, Joe? What's up, Gary Middleton? Christine, how are you? Marissa, how are you? Ricky Knight, what's up? Cruisin' Dasher, Aaron, how are you? Weed Dash, what's up? I always love that he puts, hey, they call me Weed Dash. Rideshare Road Warrior Rick, what's up? Mary Poppins, gigging up in Minnesota, Steel in Tennessee, in Nashville. Who else is in here? Hulk Smash. I'm not sure I know who that is, but yeah, everybody. So thank you for joining. And the main thing about today that we were going to talk about was transparency, because I think Roy was watching what I was doing with Stephanie, and there's a reason why because I sit with Roy. I don't want any regulations at all. None. Okay. But between the states and these companies, they've done some pretty bad things, and they should have really worked together to make some things happen before we got to this point. But I will mention this before we jump into, is that 3 years ago, 3 years ago exactly right now, we were all in lockdown. Or we were all told to be in lockdown, which soon led to all this other crap and doing, just kind of like government retention, making sure that they have what they want and control measures. But we saw rideshare in one day go from what it was to zero. There was no rideshare. We saw delivery go from pure crap to off the charts with $100 cash tips. And we saw even slowly the emergence of Instacart and Shipt, and they were doing a lot better with the groceries. Now I'm watching all these people who are wondering, are we in the summer slowdown? Of course we're in the summer slowdown, but I also think that, and I think most people can agree with this, about a year and a half ago, food delivery peaked. I mean, is it going in a crash downhill? No, but it's going downhill level.
Yeah.
I mean, look, guys, I mean, like, it's not a necessity anymore.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, that's the drivers. The drivers, I'm not. I don't push punches. That's just being dumb. I started doing it early enough before the pandemic. It was always like this. It was always due to orders. You were waiting a long time to get your orders. You had to cherry pick to get the good orders. So to sit there and think, okay, we had this extraordinary event that happened called the pandemic. Everybody's on lockdown. Everybody's on this. You can't go anywhere. And for some reason, I don't understand why people can't understand. Okay, we're not in that situation anymore. So why are you still expecting to get those same kind of numbers you were getting back then?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
Especially
It's
with
dumb. If you're in a
2
swimming pool, you
times as
got
many drivers now as during the pandemic.
yeah. If you got
You
5 feet of water, yeah, it's like if you got 5 feet of water and you jump in the pool and smack your head, and all of a sudden for a year and a half they fill it up with 12 feet of water, and you jump in and don't smack your head. Guess what? When it goes back to 5 feet, you're gonna jump in and smack your head. It's that simple of a concept. Like I don't understand it. That
Yeah.
the pandemic. We should still be getting this. No, because people are going back to work now. They're having to pay their bills that they weren't having to pay. Remember the rent moratoriums, all this stuff. They had exorbitant amount of uninsurance employment where you were getting 4 times the amount of your normal unemployment. So they had exorbitant amount of money. They don't have that anymore. They're back to doing their 9 to 5s, making that same money they were making prior. So for people to get this idea like, it should still be the same, you're just dumb. You're just dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
I
you're just
mean,
dumb.
it's constantly, all of them are changing.
Yeah.
This is why I've moved to last mile. This is why I get up at 4:30 in the morning though, guys, too. There's part of like, and that I know Roy loves this because he always talks about, do you have control? So now he would say, well, you don't have control because you're getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And I hate it. But what I will say is that I still do have control, but I have adjusted my whole life to get up at 4:30. I now go to bed earlier. And it's not because I'm over 50, you guys.
So that's why. So that what makes me laugh when people say, "Oh, well, I can just put on anytime I want." No, you can't. You got to make sure it's available in your market to turn it on, unless you're a top dasher where you get to dash now anytime. Other than that, you're having a schedule, which is like I said, no different than me getting a schedule from Domino's. Is no different than you having to schedule yourself. So this whole idea, well, I can do it whenever I want. No, if we've noticed any good driver, they have a schedule. I got to do the lunch shift. I got to do the dinner shift. So it's no different than working a regular schedule. So in that respect, you're being controlled by the customer as well as the app because the customers are dictating, okay, Rodeo's got to get up at 4:30 if he wants to get our deliveries, And so
the thing about the difference with me though, guys, in this space is that the night before I'm locking down like 3. So I've got 3 I already know these 3 are going to pay me a good amount of money to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why usually by like 11, 12, a lot of times I'm home for the day.
Yeah.
I'm done. I do computer and website stuff and all this other stuff because I'm done. I've made what a lot of you guys, no offense, but what a lot of you guys make in a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting up at 4:30 and out on the road at 5.
Yeah.
And these are deliveries that have to go out. They're high paying gigs because there's crews and teams of people waiting on 800 pounds of paint. Like they're literally waiting for me when I pull up.
So you might not think that you're controlled by the app, but you're controlled by your customers. Because if you don't have a busy, you don't have a busy dinner shift, you're not making money because you're not going out in the morning because we all know breakfast sucks. So you're not making your money. You're relying on those people to order dinner. So in other words, you're still being controlled by the customers. Even if you don't think you're controlled by the app, pretty much the customers are controlling you at that point. So.
But see, that's what I don't mind because being in the service industry and if you want to be an entrepreneur, I don't mind the customers always control you.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to get your money. You need to pitch customers correctly.
But the whole mindset that gig workers think they are in control of everything, that once again, it goes back to you're just dumb. You're not looking at it like a true business owner. If a true business owner ain't going to open his business 24 hours a day, if he's only getting from 9 to 5 business. And that's what these people don't seem to understand. That's why, I can turn it on whenever I want. No, you don't. Then why are you working these specific shifts all week long if you can just do it whenever you want? So that's just, once again, it's just dumb to me that some people don't have that mindset that they could understand that kind of stuff.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'll put it in the bar industry perspective too. Like you never wanted to be the guy at the bar who was the 3 o'clock open. Yeah. Because you were going to have like one drunk customer come in from 3 to 5 and that's it. You're opening the bar and you got this drunk yelling at you in your ear.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah,
dude, I'm trying to get the bar open. Shut up. Like,
yeah, it's just like the strip club industry. Yeah, they're open 24 hours, but when you go in early, guess what? They got the doo-doo girls because they know they ain't gonna have a good customer base. They know they're not going to have their premier customers first thing in the morning, so they're not gonna have the finest girls available. They
right.
wait till they know they're gonna have the highest clientele, then they bring in the hotties.
Yeah.
So it happens in every industry, and people need to understand that, you know.
Yeah. So as to transparency, moving on to this though, and that's some of what's happened in the industry. And I know we all know this, but I think Roy was watching what I was doing with Stephanie and he's going, what the hell is he doing? Why is he trying to get regulations? And here's why, guys. In a nutshell, there is regulations coming regardless. I don't want regulations. I never have. However, things have gotten so out of control. And I'm glad that the PRO Act died. I'm glad there isn't a national standard that everybody's supposed to be following. However, it has left all of the states on their own to make their own decisions on how they want to deal with this. So we got Seattle offering $1.50 or whatever it is a mile and 40 cents a minute to every rideshare driver. Okay, well, they kind of pulled that under the Taxi and Limousine Commission and said, well, this is what they make, so why shouldn't these? There was a little sense there. But then you got states like Minnesota saying, we want to be paid the same as Seattle, same rates. It was 30 cents a minute, but it was like $1.45 a mile, so pretty much the same, but it's a third of the cost of living there. Why didn't, if they're going to go for a number, go for a more realistic one? Colorado is the only state that is pushing regulations that don't have a number attached to them. And I have said to Stephanie many times, I'm saying, look, at my only two things are there better be no union backdoor traps, and there, you know, and there better be no side dealings going on about what this is. Because for those of you I've talked about before, but I leave one part out sometimes. So what this bill is it just says, look, the transportation companies have to provide complete transparency on the orders they send out, but they have to provide it to the driver. They also have to provide it to the customer. The customer finally gets to see a line item breakdown of where that money goes, because every customer thinks the drivers are overpaid. Period. Like, you guys make a ton of money. No, we don't. Do you have any idea what I get of that? You don't know. So people are just misinformed. So part of it was to inform them. The other portion was the right to wrongful deactivation. I believe that we should have that, because now we're seeing wrongful deactivations go on left and right, and they don't have to tell you anything.
Yeah, but let's look at the percent, and that's one of the things that got me too, is the wrongful deactivation. What percentage of those do you think are actually wrongful term? Where is the numbers to prove that all these people are being wrongfully terminated? Because we all know nobody in this gig world is perfect. And we all know there's a lot of gig workers out here that lie about what they've done or what they're doing. And then you find out 3 months down the road, oh, I did this. Well, no wonder why you were deactivated, why you were crying the whole 3 months that you were wrongfully deactivated. So without the numbers to say, okay, what is the percentage of wrongful terminations or deactivations? There is no number for that. So, and when the minute you sign on that dotted line, it says we can deactivate you for whatever we feel like. At that point, it doesn't matter if it's wrongful or not. It's just like any at-will state. I could walk into Domino's, they say, you're fired. They don't have to give me a reason. So it's no different. So I don't know why people have this idea that, well, the minute they're deactivated, whether they think they did something wrong or not, you signed on a dotted line and you lost that privilege. When you signed on the dotted line, you lost that privilege.
You checked the box.
Yeah, you checked the box, whatever it was. So to sit there and cry and whine, and now I want to get the government involved in it, because you're causing more problems just because you didn't want to accept the fact that, hey, I signed, I hit the box, now I got to suffer the consequences of whatever I did wrong. And we already know 99% of the time when you're so-called wrongly deactivated, it comes out down the line that, yeah, you were doing some stupid stuff and you got caught and now you're deactivated. It's like the whole Bud Soda thing. Remember, everybody's like, oh, Bud Soda, he's dead. And then it comes out, he's taking 6-7 orders at a time and he's causing, so come on. We know sooner or later. So that whole thing, wanting to get government involved because you know you don't understand the fact that you signed your right away or clicked the box that signed your rights away. that you could be deactivated for any time. Once again, you're dumb. You're not comprehending what you're either not reading or what you're signing. And I don't have sympathy for those people. So.
No, I think the biggest argument that Stephanie's making is, and the reason that it's a direct attack on DoorDash, obviously they would want to apply this to other gigs if they win, but here's the bottom line. The reason that it's directly applied to DoorDash is because DoorDash has gone to a 100% AI deactivation system. So if you're familiar with artificial intelligence, the programmers of artificial intelligence stick it into the system, and then after that, what does it do? It learns. So the programmer tells it, hey, listen, we need you to deactivate people that do this, 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 and this, and this, and this. But that doesn't mean AI doesn't get in there and add things. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, I don't like the way that happened. And they're deactivating you. And now the programmers can't figure out. But here's the thing. If you think that, well, why doesn't DoorDash get that under control? Here's why. They don't want to. They want to be able to say, I don't know why the AI deactivated you. I have no clue. Complete. I mean, because now they're not even lying. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know why you're deactivated.
But we've also seen where there's been people that have been deactivated that call, discuss, blah, why am I deactivated? And then they're back on the platform. So apparently there is a way to hopefully get yourself back on the platform if you can get the people to understand what you did or what you didn't do. My thing when it comes to transparency, I would like to know, which I think they should give you, is who did what. Yes, there could be consequences. You go beat the customer up, whatever the case may be. But it gives you more of an idea of what you did. Like when you sit there and deactivate me and I did 14 deliveries that day, I'm thinking to myself, well, what delivery did I mess up on? You have no clue on that. So transparency in that, you're going to have to outweigh the risk of me going and beating up the customer or whatever to at least let me know where I messed up or what I did, and what customer it was. That's where I think they need to show transparency, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Because otherwise, the other problem too is that if you get deactivated and you have somebody who only works DoorDash and they are like feeding their family on it, and if they are the type to go want to beat up a customer, they're going to come to their own conclusion on who did it. Oh, I'm sure it was that one guy, my third trip tonight. Yeah. I know it was him.
Yeah. And they might be beating up the wrong customer. Or they might go beat up
exactly.
So they don't know. So that to me makes more sense to be transparent in that way, because then it also gives you an opportunity in your app to go through, well, they said you didn't drop off their food. Well, I have it in my thing. You should be able to look into my texts and you can see the picture of me handing it to the customer, me handing it to the door when they said they didn't get it. Yeah. Then you have a way to give your evidence that you didn't do something wrong. But if you're just getting a guesstimate, okay, somebody called and said you didn't give them food. Well, I did 14 deliveries, 15 deliveries. Which one said that? Because I can prove if I did it or not. I have messages, I have pictures, I have all that of who got what. So yeah, that transparency in that regard, that should be transparent to me.
And I never understood why. Because this is a simple fix. Why on earth doesn't it just have for the DoorDash customers? Look, in Europe during the pandemic, they didn't even allow leave at door. You still had to hand it to the person because they were like, that's food. It shouldn't go in the dirt.
Yeah, that's gross. Yeah, that's just gross to me. It should never go on the ground. I didn't even like it when I had my W-2. I didn't like putting food on the ground. It's gross.
No, it's
gross. You got bugs, you got animals, it's just
sprinklers.
Gross.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just gross. Yeah.
But I mean, so why can't it be leave it? And then when the customer gets it, the customer just either checks a box, yes, I received it, or signs their name or whatever through the app.
Yeah.
Because then the driver waits outside, and until that checkbox is okay, they checked it, they got it.
Yeah.
Now you don't even need pictures, because if they don't get it, you can be like, wait, I'm here and I delivered it.
Yeah. But that's the unfortunate part on a he said, she said. That's all this boils down to. That's all these apps have to go by is he said, she said. And that's the whole problem. Even as W-2, I could have the perfect order and the customer can still call and say, hey, he was hella rude to me. He did this, he did that. So it's still going to be my word against the customer's word. So it's going to be, look at the driver's past history. How many times has he been complained that they never got their food? If it's your first one or something, they can see this is the first time, that's fine. But if they look at your record and this guy's got 20 complaints that they never got their food, chances are they didn't get their food because you stole it. So there's ways they could do it. But but it's all a he said, she said. Even with the Ubers and Lyfts, it's all he said, she said. And that is, and it doesn't matter how transparent you are. Still, he said, she said. At the end of the day.
No,
so,
you and I know, Roy, that people would have you terminated over a $6 Lyft ride because they don't want to pay it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
they literally would. That's the kind of low lifes that do this crap. Like, I'll just have him. I don't want to pay $7. I'll just terminate Roy. I don't care about him.
Yeah. So the only way it would ever be fixed is if DoorDash or whatever company just sucks it up. Okay, they didn't get their food, pay it off, do whatever, but don't accuse the driver without some kind of proof, or deactivate them. That's if you want to say unfairly deactivated. That's unfairly deactivated because society is full of buttholes. We know this; they suck, and DoorDash, I'm sure, is well aware of that. And so, like I said, he said, she said. You should always give your, I guess I can't say give your workers the benefit of the doubt, but it's just one of those things. It's
I love Marissa's comment here. Definitely need to make sure the right customer is getting beat up.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or if you just want to do that, you just go beat up 6 of them and hope you got one in there that wasn't the right one. But it's all just like going out and playing craps. It's all he said, she said. It's just, and you sign, and when you check the box, you got to understand that's what you're dealing with. It's just like walking up to the craps table and throwing the dice, or the roulette wheel. You just fling the ball and hope that it doesn't land on a shitty customer. Same thing with the delivery. Just hope that you don't give it to a doo-doo customer and then you don't have a job anymore. So,
by the way, I've said it to Gary. He just doesn't want to do it. But if anybody has a channel or has ever wanted to make a channel, you could do pretty well just doing TOS updates in like layman's terms.
Yeah.
Like, hey, in this TOS update, the 2 changes you need to be aware of were this.
Yeah.
You could have a good channel on that.
You don't even really have to do that. You can sum it up in probably a 1-minute video. You check the box, you're personally responsible, suck it up and move on. That's all it really is at the end of the day, because you're just tapping a box and you're giving a company the okay to say yes you can or no you can't.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. So I mean, would you rather have transparency on the apps, or would you rather have some of these other wacko state ideas that are like, hey, we're going to pay them what we pay doctors in the state?
Yeah. First of all, I don't think transparency really matters at the end of the day. It's not going to matter whether or not you get deactivated or whatever. It's not going to matter. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day when it comes to making money, because let's say when I DoorDashed yesterday, every order I got, what they showed me on the app is what I physically got. So that I could easily say they're transparent. They're very transparent. Every order I took was the amount they offered it to me. Right. So that's another thing we got to understand is what is the percentage of deliveries that so-called have hidden tips, and without that number, it's hard to say that they can say, they can show me, they can take my record yesterday, say, look, we were fully transparent. Every order he took, that's what he got paid. So there's no percentage numbers of what orders are actually being hidden tips. And you got things like Uber Eats, which they allow you to tip afterwards. Same with DoorDash now. You can tip afterwards, and they're allowed to take away the tip. So even if they are fully transparent, they say, okay, I'll give you 2 miles for $45. You go, okay, boom, I got full transparency now. They can still zip that tip right away from you within an hour of that delivery. So what difference does that make? Is that going to make a difference? No, it's not going to make a difference.
So whether you see the whole payout or not. On a double point, this almost supports yours, even though I am pro transparency, but it almost supports yours. When you were doing Domino's, you never knew what the tip was going to be, or if you even were going to get one.
I knew the credit card tips were going to be, yes.
Oh, okay.
Because I got to see that. But cash tips, it's the same way. It's cash tip. Yeah. You don't know if you're going to get a cash tip.
But you still, because you were an employee, you had to take every order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't matter if you saw it or not, because you were going to have to take it.
Yeah, but I was also compensated on an hourly basis, so
right.
It's a little bit different, So
I know, but you still had to make all the orders, and you still had to do them. It's not like I don't want that one, I don't want that. And that, I mean, we should all acknowledge that causes a big problem, especially in a global scale like DoorDash in 26 countries. It's I mean, of course, that's going to cause hiccups when you have people unassigning or not taking an order. But here's my thing. Why not just even, I know a lot of people probably will hate me for this, but I don't care. Why not just take away the part that says tip? Like you said yesterday, all of your orders showed what you're going to be paid. Show that, and don't show partial tips. Either show the whole tip or don't show any of it.
Yeah.
Because don't have these people playing a game saying, okay, that's a $6.50 order with a $2 tip. That means there's a hidden tip. I'll take it. Because that shouldn't be how it's done either.
Yeah, but then again, what is the percentage of that? There ain't been one gig tuber that has done any channel on any channel that can give me a percentage. Yes, you got Pedro. He says, "Oh, I can predict all these tips," and then he comes on the next day. Oh no, this is, or he shows it on his live stream or his delivery. Oh no, it stayed the same. What is the percentage? What gig tuber can right now give me a percentage of how many orders that they predicted that there was going to be 100% extra tip? They can't. They can't give you that percentage because they're just going off a guess. It's all a guessing game. You're just guessing. Okay, I've seen this number before with extra tip. I'm going to assume it has an extra tip. And then when it doesn't have an extra tip, you're like, what? You know, so without these numbers that everybody, no percentage numbers of this or that, we can almost say we're all talking out of our ass at that point because we have no real proof. We have no real proof. Like yesterday, 100% of my orders showed 100% full transparency.
Yep.
You know, so how can I sit there and say, well, they're not being transparent? Every order they showed me was 100% transparent. So I could do a video today. Yeah. So I could do a video today. Oh, DoorDash is 100% transparent. Here's my thing. I showed you all the screenshots. All the orders they gave me were the right amount of money when I clicked them off. So, and then how you going to argue with
some had tips though too.
Yeah. So how are you going to argue that? You know?
Yeah. I mean, Necro, you're just, I hate to say this, but you're kind of proving the point here. Like, yeah, paid to drive, put out a cheat sheet. Okay. I'm never going to use that cheat sheet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because you're going by money to mile anyways. 90%, 99% drivers go by money to mile. So even if let's say they give you a 3 mile for $10, and it has extra tip added, it doesn't matter. You would have took that delivery regardless if there was an extra tip. You still would have took it because you would have got your $10 for 3 miles. That's what you wanted. Yeah. So extra tip didn't make it. So even if they showed you it was $15, doesn't matter. You would have took it with the $10 because it meets your thing. We all know if it says $2, you know there's no tip. That's common sense. We know this. So you can't sit there and think that, oh, they're not being fully transparent. Yeah, they are. They gave you a $2 order. You know base pay is $2. There ain't a tip. So you can't say, oh, they're not being transparent. Sure, you got a $2 offer. There's no tip. You know, so.
And I mean, I can take it even to being a server or a bartender. And to be honest, half of my people or close to it were probably regulars. So a regular is different. I know if X person comes in, he tips good. Or Y person, she doesn't tip good, but she's cool. I like her. She's fine.
Yeah.
I'll still, but then you have all the tables that come in that you don't know. Look, when you're being paid $3 an hour, which is bartender pay or was when I was doing it, when you're being paid $3 an hour and have to take your tips against that, which usually makes your paycheck zero if you're doing good, you're living on tips. I never knew if a 10 top because we didn't have those added amounts for certain groups or higher.
Yeah. I
didn't know what they were going to tip me. Were they going to tip me 2 hours worth of a 10 top in the service I gave them?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would hope on a $50+ tip on something like that. I've seen 10s and 20s left.
Yeah.
Where I lost a table in my section for 2 hours to this group that I'm giving tons of attention to, and they leave me $10.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is to your face.
Yeah. And really, is it because you didn't get to see the extra $2? Is that really worth getting the government involved when we know the government is garbage? They don't do anything. They don't do anything good. So you're bitching because you didn't get to see an extra $1 or 25 cents to now getting your senators involved. To now you're gonna get nothing shown, or something's gonna fuck up. We know this. Sorry, my language. Sorry. We know that they don't. Anytime a politician's involved, it gets worse. Let's just face it. It gets worse. We've seen it over and over again. Whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, it gets worse.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So deal with not seeing the extra dollars, or deal with your whole system being fucked up because of a politician? What game you want to play?
And the thing about what you just said about doesn't matter the political party, I'm going to hit on that for a minute, because here in Colorado, Stephanie's bill did not pass because 2 Democrats jumped ship on her the day of the vote. They didn't even let it go to the floor. And then when it was looked into, both of those parties have affiliations with DoorDash.
Exactly.
So Democrat, Republicans, these people are tied in with these companies, and they will not go against their biggest supporters.
They're not going against anybody that's giving them extra wallet money. They're not.
Like if Roy or I donate $5 to their campaign and then tell them how we want them to run it, they'll just tell us to go F ourselves.
Yes. Well, no, they would.
But if you're DoorDash and you're really supporting that campaign, they're not going to tell you nothing.
Yeah, if we go give them $5 and say, hey, they'll be like, okay, we'll take a look at it. But if I give them $1 million, they're going to be like, they'll be on the next day and say, yeah, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to let you run your company the way you want because you gave me $1 million. $5, they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, I think part of the biggest problem is that the mass onboardings just left it like, look, these people are going to take these orders regardless. I don't care. We don't need to show them transparency. But the problem is that the holdout's been so long now that now every state, and I'm talking every state, is now scrambling without PRO Act, which is good, but to make their own. This is what we want now. But what they're asking for is like way out of control. They're asking, Connecticut. I'm going to use Connecticut for a minute here. Connecticut wants you to make $38 or $36 an hour for active time on multi-apping. So if you against all platforms, if you multi-app and you stay active for 8 hours, you can be paid $36 an hour. Plus on Rideshare, they want you to have $1.40 and they want you to have 20 cents a minute. If you get an airport run for 60 miles in an active hour, you're going to make over $100 that active hour. You're now being paid like a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's going to end up causing these businesses to go out of business because they're not going to be able to keep up with that stuff sooner or later. They're not going to be able to keep up with it. So once again, your complaint about not seeing the extra couple dollars, it might end up costing you your whole gig app. And you can't even work anymore because the gig app just said, you know what, goodbye. Just like what happened in Texas. Wasn't it in Texas, Houston, where Lyft and Uber said, see ya.
And they just bolted. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, they bolted. So now because of a little bit of complaining, and it's not even that you have a right to complain. You hit the box and you signed it away. It's like, why are you even complaining? Like, you signed it away.
Yeah.
Like, don't run into a door head on and then complain the door wasn't open. You saw the door was closed. So why'd you run into it? Come on. It's common sense, man. It's just common sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's why people hate me. And I think that's why people hate me so much, because I don't have that gimme mindset. And I think that's why people hate me so much, or they think I'm a company man, or I'm being paid by the companies or whatever. No, I'm just going by common sense and personal responsibility. That's all I go by. Yeah. That's all I go by.
Yeah. I don't know. If people hate you, I think they're just kind of, to be honest, if they hate you for the things you say, I think they're just kind of maybe living, or they're new to the gig economy, or they're living with blinders on or whatever. They don't want to know.
Yeah. Look, or they've been sheltered their whole life and told that they were the greatest at everything. And now somebody comes up and says, no, you're not. You make mistakes like we all do. I'm not your mommy and daddy. I'm not there to pat you on the back and tell you how great you are. No, this is real life. You're dealing with real life issues, and suck it up or don't subscribe and move on.
Yeah, I think the main thing that people should understand is that, and I think we've hit on it pretty good, is that, look, you could be terminated for nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, Nova was deactivated on a day he didn't even work. He didn't even turn the app on. And when they the date he was deactivated, he didn't even have the app on.
Yeah.
How's that even? I mean, that seems like if you can't beat that case, no case can you beat.
Well, not only that, but that's another thing these gig tubers don't realize, that they watch these channels. And all it's going to take you as a gig tuber is to show that phone that shows an address or shows an approximate address, and you're done. Because all they have to do is look at that. Oh, well, I can deactivate him now because he's giving away customer information. You know what I'm saying? That's all they got to see. All they got to see is you break that terms of service where it says, you're harassing customers or whatever the case may be. If you show a screenshot saying, look at this garbage customer, he's a piece of shit, they can see that. They can see where that order was going, the approximate location of that. So now you're harassing their customers and you're talking bad about the business and the customer. Goodbye. So you're doing it to yourself by showing it on YouTube because you know they watch it. Dude, the CEO did a YouTube thing on Rideshare Guy. So you know they're watching it. So to sit there and say that they're not is retarded.
Yeah. And the other thing too, that a lot of people who came in during the pandemic or just before or have only done food delivery space might not remember this, but Roy will. Because Vegas was a big place this was happening, where in rideshare before the pandemic, people were live streaming their rides all the time. And you were getting they were deactivating you like mad, like you're done.
Exactly.
I mean, and if you were smart enough to have a different email tied to your account, they still got your YouTube deactivated.
Yeah.
I mean, so they basically ended it for you in minutes. I don't know how they were so on top of it, but if you were doing that, they ended it. But
well, they also got to realize some customers do actually put their picture on the app. So if they look at YouTube and they look at that customer's face recognition, they do it to us when I just had to do it yesterday. Again, I had to do it again yesterday. Verify who I was, had to take a selfie. So they got the facial recognition. They could tell that stuff. So come on, man. And they could tell the time. Everything has a time on it. And they don't want you showing a drunk customer acting a fool in the car. Then people get that idea that, you know, they're disgracing a customer. This is a good customer. They order a ride from us. And now this driver just made him look like a total fool because they're throwing up, laughing, giggling, getting half butt naked. So yeah, it's bad business. They don't want to see that shit. So.
Yeah, not at all. And so I guess, you know, again, I'm looking at the time and I'm going to have to take my son here to get his cast off, hopefully. But I would say this, you guys, is that, look, I want transparency. I think we all want transparency, but is that going to be the final answer? No. But you can be deactivated for somebody else's background check and yours overlapping by one off social security number. And because it's AI, you now can't challenge it. I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, like, maybe you've done nothing wrong at all. And that does, and I'm sure it drives you mad. I'm sure it's like, dude, I did nothing. I didn't even work that day. I didn't, what do you mean? I've got a clean background. Why did my check come back bad? There's just a lot of factors in there that are not, these are not perfect companies by a long shot.
Exactly. and that's the one thing I don't understand. You're not a perfect person. How do you expect this company to be perfect? If you're not a perfect person, you can't read a GPS right, and you're dropping food off at the wrong house because you don't know how to read Google Maps. How do you expect these companies to be perfect? You're not perfect. So quit expecting everybody else to be perfect when you're not perfect. Because we're dealing, Jesus, look how many times you can't even get on StreamYards properly, or the sound sounds stupid. You're dealing with electronics, you're dealing with an app, you're dealing with millions of people. It's not like just you and Doordash and one customer that, oh my God, they can't get it right. No, you're figuring 3 million orders a day. There might be a glitch. It happens. You got a glitch on your phone and when you're not even using Doordash.
And DoorDash even goes down from time to time for 12 hours. Like Vegas could go dark for 12 hours with DoorDash.
Yeah, exactly. It's
things happen, guys.
Yeah. Quit expecting everybody to be perfect if you're not perfect, and quit asking for things that's not going to make a difference. And like I said, even if they show the full amount of the order, it doesn't make a difference. You can still get deactivated. Customer can still lie. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And going and complaining about it, it's only going to, like you said, Connecticut. Now you got Minnesota wanting to do it. Because why is that? Because people don't want to accept the responsibility that they checked the box. Now you got to go out and do what you wanted to do. So,
well, I literally, when I was talking about Connecticut on the audio podcast, I had people emailing in who always do, but saying, dude, I'm going to move to Connecticut. I had to make, not even reply, but do another piece follow-up on the next week's audio podcast saying, guys, the solution isn't to go there because the customers are going to suffer the brunt, so there won't be as much business.
Yep.
There's not going to be as many orders, so why would you move there? You're going to get like 1 active hour per 8.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you got paid $36 for 8 hours of work. There you go.
And that's another thing people got to realize. When you don't see tips on orders, guess what? 99% of the time, it was because of other Dashers or other Uber Eats drivers are the reason why customers aren't doing it. We got a guy, and I'm not going to say his name. He did it on his channel where he's confronting people for not tipping. You don't think that gig workers are the only ones that watch those videos? Customers see that. Is that going to make me want to order, not knowing that the guy's going to come up and like sweat me because I didn't give him enough of a tip? No. So Dashers and drivers cause probably 95% of their own problems because you got shitty drivers out here. So
I think the bigger problem to that point is that people are going to want to try and outdo that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Other tubers are going to be like, hey man, I'll go confront people.
Yeah. And we just saw it on Pedro's last night. The guy write a big old love letter on the bag about how crappy the customer was. Come on. That's just, that ruins it for all of us. It's like, take personal responsibility. You clicked the accept button. You knew there wasn't a tip on it. And now you're going to write a note come on. Like, how dumb can you be? Like, you took the offer. Why you want to write a poem now that the customer sucks? You suck for hitting the fucking accept button in the first place. Like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe they.
And if things get to I think that when things get to that level, just move on to the next app for a while, then come back and see if it changes in a few months, or stop using it. Exactly. I say pivot, but I also say be willing to pivot straight out of the damn app.
Yeah,
like exactly. I'm done.
Exactly.
With this thing, or
get a W-2 where you are guaranteed at least something every week, and use that as a supplemental income instead of trying to I gotta get this much every week or I'm screwed. Well, there's no guarantee. Like you said, you could be deactivated the next day. At least on a W-2, you still got something there to fall back on. So. And
on that note, I'm going to end with this: is that Van? We all know him. He's always joking, and it's joking, guys. He's always eating other people. Okay, well, I'll eat it, man. Okay, whatever. Think what you want of the guy. But I had lunch with him last week, and to be honest, he realized he was doing 50 hours a week before to make X amount of dollars. Now he said, I'm having to pull 80 to make those same hours. So what did he do? He went out and got a 20-hour W-2, and now he's working about 30 to 40 hours on the app. So yeah, he's working about 10, 15 more hours a week, but making the same money. But if he wanted to do it just on gig apps, he was going to have to take on another 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
So that part-time W-2 led him to be able to offset and still work the apps.
Yeah.
Look, we just all have to be willing to pivot and adapt. And I can't speak for your market because I don't live in it.
Yeah,
exactly. I can only talk about Denver. If I talk about other markets, I'm only relaying what others have told me. If other people are telling you about markets and they don't live there and it's not coming from another person, I would say be very careful to listening to that person because they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know jack shit. Nobody knows what happens in Vegas unless you live in Vegas. Like, don't make videos in Florida where you live. Talk about Vegas stuff. You ain't here. You don't know. So
right. I mean, and don't go to Vegas. Don't be like, yeah, I saw the offers. They're all great. Maybe those were strip offers. Have you guys ever been to the strip?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, a food delivery order where you're used to 20 minutes can take you 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, there aren't people there to help you. You're going to have to park your car in the back behind the casino, walk in, find out what you're doing. And those casinos are mazes. They're meant to make you lost anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a whole thing there, but I hopefully this sheds something. I know we all know it, but sometimes hearing it, because like you, Roy, I hear a lot of people talking a lot of smack that they don't know. Yeah, they just don't know, man.
Yeah, I get it all the time, bro. He doesn't do enough deliveries to talk about it. Yeah, I gotta have a 20-year history of DoorDash to know how to hit an accept and decline button or whatever. Come on, man.
I just mean the general way these work, though. Look, you're working them. If they're not working out, pivot, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't try and force the app to say, I'm going to make this much on this app.
Yeah.
You're going to do that for me. It's not going to ever do it.
Yeah, it's no different than how many times you're going to punch a wall till your knuckles bleed before you stop punching the wall. It's the same thing. You can put any kind of scenario involved. You're doing it to yourself. You're purposely putting yourself in a stressful situation because you want them to change, and we know they're not going to change. And that's the crazy part. It's like, you don't want to change. You think you're too good to change. Well, They want ice water in hell. They ain't getting it. Trust me. So just learn to move on, and like you said, adapt and do other things. There are so many gig apps out there that nobody should be stuck just doing DoorDash. There's a gazillion apps out there.
There's even websites that don't have apps.
Yeah.
You got to go to the
apps
website.
Out there. Yeah. There's apps out there if you want to work for a company for 8 hours in their office. They have apps that you can do that.
Yep.
So if you want to sit in the office and shred papers for a company, there's an app for that. There's an app for everything, man. That's what I understand.
So everybody, thank you for joining. Roy, thank you for being here. And everybody, please, listen, just at least in the back of your head, listen to what we're talking about, because if you think we don't know, or you don't know my market, we don't know your market, but we know how the apps work. So, I know Roy likes to say, you got to create your own destiny. No one's going to do it for you. And I like to say, be safe out there and earn smart. So we'll leave you guys with that, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Well,